But can you imagine how the cartoon characters from The Simpsons managed to look into the future? Here they roll out Olympic breakdancing and unexpected musical collaborations. It's as if someone is whispering all this in their ear. 2025 is near. Let's see which jokes have come true and which remain unclear. Explore cartoon prophecies. Let's figure out which of their jokes have already become reality and which are still in the fog. This is going to be a real journey into the world of cartoon prophecies. And we're going to kick it off right now. Donald Trump became President of the United States. In 2000, in Season 11, Episode 17, titled, Bart to the Future, the main character Bart Simpson looks into his possible future. In this version of events, Lisa becomes the President of the United States. During one of the meetings in the Oval Office, she says, "As you know, President Trump left us a budget crisis." From the context, it can be assumed that her reign began immediately after Trump. However, Trump himself doesn't appear in this episode, and the scenes featuring him, which many consider prophetic, were cut from the 2015 video, Trumpastic Voyage. It's worth noting that the idea of Trump as a political figure wasn't completely new back in 2000. In 2000, it wasn't completely new. That year, he participated in the primaries for the Reform Party. However, he only took on the presidency in 2017. And as it turned out, that was just the first presidential term. After all, on January 20th, 2025, Donald Trump again became President of the United States of America. But if the storyline is to be followed, a woman should take over the post after Trump. Well, let's make it to 2029. Friends. Three-eyed fish. In the second season of The Simpsons, in the fourth episode titled, Two Cars in Every Garage and Three Eyes on Every Fish, the Simpson kids go fishing in a pond near the Springfield nuclear power plant. Bart pulls a three-eyed fish out of the water. At the same time, serious violations are discovered at the plant. You can't call this plot from the absolutely fantastic. The problem of radiation exposure and associated mutations has long been a topic of debate among scientists. The appearance of a fish with three eyes seemed like a likely event. Indeed, in 2011, in Argentina, not far from the local nuclear power plant, fishermen caught a three-eyed fish. Personally, I think there's more to come. The environment, like the radiation levels, is getting worse every year. So, who knows what other weird fish, mollusks, and other bizarre creatures with unusual appearances will start popping up in our waters soon. Cultural Revolution. In the 9th episode of the second season of The Simpsons, titled, Itchy and Scratchy and Marge, Marge decides to fight for the removal of scenes of violence and cruelty from her kid's favorite cartoon. She manages to get her way, but soon her supporters start acting way too radically. They oppose the installation of the statue of David in Springfield, arguing that the figure is nude. During the discussion of this topic on a talk show, host Kent Brockman shows the audience a statue dressed in pants. This situation reflected real life many years later. In 2016, one of the residents of St. Petersburg expressed her dissatisfaction with the nude copy of the statue of David, located near the Church of St. Anna on Karaknia Street. In her opinion, such a sculpture had a negative impact on children and spoiled the overall look of the city. As a result, Dress David was organized where everyone could propose clothing. During the event, the statue's genitals were covered with a cap for the famous work of art. During the event, the statue's genitals were covered with a cap. My friends, given that fashion is cyclical, we will soon all be dressing in crinolines and frock coats, sending those trendy naked dresses to the back of the closet. A mix, tomatoes and tobacco. In the 5th episode of the 11th season of The Simpsons, titled, Tammock, Homer Simpson unexpectedly becomes a farmer and creates a new plant called Tammock, which is a hybrid of a tomato and tobacco. This vegetable, despite its terrible taste, is highly addictive. thanks to which it gains commercial success. It is worth noting, however, that this episode was not a prediction of Barack's appearance. On the contrary, it actually inspired its creation. One of the Simpsons fans, Rob Bart, managed to obtain a plant with nicotine content, though not through crossbreeding, but by grafting a tomato sprout to tobacco. A tomato sprout to tobacco. And I have to tell you, you can definitely grow such an unusual plant in your own garden. And today, the voting machine falsified the voters' ballots. In the fourth episode of season 20 of The Simpsons, titled Treehouse of Horror 19, Homer tries to vote for Barack Obama using a special voting machine. However, the machine mistakenly registers his vote for the opponent, Obama, John McCain. In 2012, a similar incident happened in the real world. In Pennsylvania, a voting machine had to be taken out of service because it was mistakenly recording votes intended for Barack Obama, his opponent Mitt Romney. Oh, what? A timely topic. The election period in any country around the world. Here, the Simpsons, as they say, looked into the water. Bengt Holmstrom was nominated for the Nobel Prize. In the first episode of season 22 of The Simpsons, titled Elementary School Musical, Lisa, Martin, and Milhouse make a bet about who will win the Nobel Prize. One of Martin's cards mentions the name Bengt Holmstrom. Although he doesn't receive an award in the series itself, in reality things turned out differently. In 2016, MIT professor Bengt Holmstrom was awarded the Nobel Prize in Economics for his achievements in contract theory. We're all under the dome. In The Simpsons movie, mass surveillance by U.S. agencies is a theme. As the Simpsons flee a domed Springfield, the NSA tracks their call. In the movie, when the Simpson family is forced to flee Springfield under a huge dome, the National Security Agency tracks Marge and her kids' location in a phone call. The signal is intercepted through a man sitting next to them. This can be interpreted as a nod to the potential for human chipping in the future. The signal is intercepted through a man sitting next to them. What can be interpreted as a reference to the possible chipping of people in the future? These events turn out to be prophetic. In 2013, former NSA employee Edward Snowden revealed information about the massive surveillance of American citizens' phones and the internet by the government. By publishing the data in The Guardian and The Washington Post, it is noteworthy that Lisa warned Marge about these concerns back in 2007. And even more remarkable is that in today's reality, government tracking of its citizens has become a pretty ordinary part of everyday life. Intercom, iPod. In the fifth episode of the 8th season of The Simpsons, titled Bart in Shady Business, an intercom is shown that is very similar to the iPod that came on the market 5 years later. The first player from Apple, designed for listening to music, had a similar design, and the music playback button was similar. The button for calling the residents. The fall of the ruble in 2014. In the 20th episode of season 10 of The Simpsons, titled The Old Man and the Key, Springfield is chosen as the host city for the next Olympics. At the beginning of the episode, there's a meeting of the International Olympic Committee, where the Russian representative proposes Moscow as the host city for the Games, arguing this based on the favorable exchange rate between the dollar and the ruble. However, the situation changes dramatically in just 4 seconds of screen time, when he gets a call informing him about the rapid rise of the dollar against the ruble. Some Simpsons fans associate this moment with the fall of the ruble in the 2010s as a result of the sanctions imposed by the West. However, older viewers might remember August default of 1998. At that time, Viktor Chernomyrdin's government created a financial pyramid based on government short-term bonds, which had yields ranging from 30 to 50%, and sometimes even reached 250%. I think it's worth quoting Viktor Stepanovich Chernomyrdin himself here. You wanted the best, but it turned out like always. I mean, you gotta admit, that's brilliantly put and fits any situation in life. The economic crisis in Greece. In the 10th episode of the 23rd season of The Simpsons, titled Political Pigs, which aired in 2012, Homer Simpson appears as a guest on a news show. At the bottom of the screen, a ticker says, "Europe has put Greece up for sale on eBay." This scene aired 3 years before Greece's actual default. At the bottom of the screen, a ticker says, "Europe has put Greece up for sale on eBay." This scene aired 3 years before Greece's actual default, when the government failed to transfer the next tranche to the International Monetary Fund, which led to a deep economic crisis. The episode stands out for its political focus. Homer represents the interests of the middle class and the unnoticed, wears a coffee pot on his head and shouts slogans like, "Hands off the toilets." He even nominates rock star Ted Nugent as a presidential candidate, actively fighting for the rights of everyday Americans. This prediction can be considered conditional. Understanding the situation allows you to anticipate possible outcomes, just like knowing the bus route helps you understand where it's going to arrive. A similar situation was observed in Russia in the 90s, when the country barely avoided dependence on the IMF, despite the default that happened in 1998. Small countries like Iceland or the Baltic states are more easily victimized by the international financial system. In 2015, Greece became yet another victim of international banking structures. We will not discuss this topic of such predictions at length. Here, let everyone draw their own conclusions. The discovery of the Higgs boson, or the boson particle. The Higgs boson is an elementary particle whose existence was first predicted by physicist Peter Higgs in 1964. In 2012, scientists from the European Organization for Nuclear Research, using the Large Hadron Collider, confirmed the existence of this particle, also known as the boson particle. Its discovery was a significant scientific achievement because it explains why all objects in the universe have mass. However, as Dr. Simon Singh, the author of the book The Simpsons and Their Mathematical Secrets, claims, Homer Simpson actually anticipated this scientific achievement by a whole 14 years back in the day. In the episode The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace from Season 10, Homer is shown standing in front of a board, solving a complex equation. As Singh points out, solving this equation gives a value close to the mass of the Higgs boson. However, it is worth considering that in the 1970s, there were many theoretical calculations of the Higgs boson mass. The creators of The Simpsons, some of whom are mathematicians, likely relied on one of these hypotheses. Eternal symbols. In the 1995 Halloween episode of The Simpsons, the formula for Fermat's theorem is visible above the two-dimensional Homer in the third dimension. In the 2006 episode, Marge and Homer Save a Marriage, the baseball scoreboard displays the numbers 8 and 128 thousandths, 8 and 208 thousandths, and 8 and 191 thousandths, which are not chosen at random. 8128 is a perfect number. The sum of all its proper divisors equals the number itself. 8208 is a narcissistic number, or an Armstrong number. Each digit is raised to the power equal to the number of digits in the number, and the results are summed back into the number itself. 8191 is a Mersenne number, named after the French mathematician Marin Mersenne, who studied their properties. In the 17th century, it's a prime number, which means it can only be divided by itself and 1. The latest technologies. Some of these predictions appear in various episodes of The Simpsons, but it's worth looking at them together. It's important to understand that all these gadgets aren't anything supernatural. By the time the episodes were created, these technologies already existed, even if in other forms. For example, in Lisa's wedding, set in the future, Lisa's boyfriend calls using a watch. Lisa talks to Marge on a screen via a rotary phone. Lisa's boyfriend uses a watch for phone calls. Lisa also communicates with Marge through a screen connected to a regular rotary phone. In the previous episode, the bully Dolph sets a reminder with the phrase "beat up Martin," but instead, he gets eat. Martha. Nothing surprising, my friends. Modern technology is bursting into our everyday lives by leaps and bounds. And no one is surprised anymore. Smartwatches, robots, vacuum cleaners, or neural networks, which are largely replacing our mental tasks. The predictions in The Simpsons sometimes amaze with their accuracy. The year 2025 started with an event that The Simpsons predicted long before it happened. I think it's high time we renamed them the Nostradamus family. Isn't that right? And now, friends, I want to make you an interesting offer. You have a unique opportunity to become part of our team. If you have video editing skills, you can voice over videos in Russian, English, and other languages. Or do you write interesting scripts? We would be happy to work with you. Message our Telegram bot. Link is in description. And that's all for today. Bye, everyone.